Hello everyone, welcome to 526 and this is week 3. In this week, we're going to use MySQL Workbench to learn how to write basic SQLs. And before we go to the detail, we need to create a few sample database for us to work with. And those databases are part of the textbook database, and all the information we have to create those databases are in the textbook's download page. Okay, first let's go to this link. This is the textbook's website, and scroll down to the bottom of the page. Click on the download tab right here, and also click on the code file link circled in right here. After you click that, it's going to ask you whether you want to save the file into your local computer, and you choose yes, and then save the file. And the file is actually, after you download it, it will be sqlqfmm3.zap. It's a zip file. And move your downloaded file to a convenient location and unzip this zip file. Within the unzipped folder, we're going to use files in MySQL folder and the SQL scripts folder. Within that folder, you're going to see a list of different files. Okay, the first step is download the file and unzip it. After we finish the first step, the second step is open your MySQL Workbench. Click on the top left corner of the local instance MySQL 57 icon, enter your password. Then you will see the following screen. That's basically your working environment for any of the queries you're going to write this semester. So this is the query window where you're going to write all your queries, and the bottom one is going to show your status of your each SQL run. If the query runs correctly, it's going to say it runs successfully. If there are some error, it's going to tell you what's the problem. And we do not use much of the navigator and the SQL add-on sessions. I'm going to show you how to hide those two windows later. But this is basically where your working environment for the rest of this course. Step number 3 is we're going to use the sales orders database as example to show how to create the sample database and tables that will be used for the textbooks for chapter 4 and beyond. The sales order data database schema is shown on page 724 of the textbook, and we're going to use this database for today, and also we're going to heavily use this database for the future weeks as well. To create the sales order database and populate the data, we need to first locate where the SQL scripts. The SQL scripts for sales order is actually in the sqlqfmm3 folder, MySQL folder, SQL scripts folder, and the file name is 00 space sales order structure my.sql. And remember to kind of clearly know the location and in the detail of the file name. And then in your MySQL Workbench, go to the file and then click Run SQL Scripts. After you click that, then it's going to show a pop-up window to ask you which file to choose. Remember, you go through all the folders, and then finally, this is the file you need to choose. 00 space sales order structure my.sql. Choose this one and click open, It's going to ask you, are you going to run? Do you want sure to run this? And do not change anything here and click on run. It's going to take a little while, but once it's finished, it's going to tell you finished. You want to close, and you click on the close to return to the working environment. So this is basically a database has already created for you. Now we can check the newly created database by typing in show databases in the query editor right here. Then after you enter that line information, highlight, use the mouse, the left click to highlight this line, and then click on the lightning icon here. So basically that is going to run this statement in SQL. And then we can see it is actually, this is what returned. You can see that a new database called sales order example is created. But this is only the table, the database structure. There's no data yet. To populate the data, we have to run another query. So we need to run the query's name is in the same folder, but it is 01 space sales order data my.sql. So same as before, in your MySQL Workbench, go to File, then click Run SQL Scripts, then choose the file above. That's basically this one. Choose 01 space sales orders data my.sql, and then click Open, then click Run to start. Once it's finished, then click on the Close to close that window. Okay, after this step, basically you have already created a database called sales orders example, and all the data has been populated into that particular database. And there are actually a few tables within that database. Now we're ready to explore SQL. Okay, in chapter 4, basically it tells you how to create a simple query. The simple query is the select statement to start. And basically, before we go to the select statement, I want to introduce a few very useful SQL statements that we're going to use on a daily basis. First one is show databases, the one that we just used in the last slides. It is going to list available databases in the system. When you create a new one, you type in show databases and write, you're going to see the new database created. And use the database name, indicating once you run this line, this statement is going to actually indicating which database you will work with. In MySQL, once you run this statement, you can directly use table names in the database when writing your query. Show tables is also a very useful one. Once you actually run the use DB name, basically you're going to use a particular database. Then when you type in show tables and write, it's going to list all the tables in the database you are working with. And the next one's very useful is describe the table name. Sometimes we have no idea how many columns in that table and what are the data types for each columns. Describe tables actually will return some detailed description of one table for that table, such that a column name and data type, etc. Those are very useful statements, and I'm going to show you shortly. So the next piece is basically the major content for chapter 4 is basically select statement. If you have a very brief usage about a database, you may already use a select statement in the past. Select is the most used statement in SQL, especially for database users and business analysts, because you need to choose the right piece of information, which is usually done by using the select statement. The select statement here is an example of a typical select statement format. You can select a column 1, column 2, and multiple columns, and from a particular table where is you can specify some specific filter conditions to choose a subset, and then order by. Order by will actually order your result by different column. And when you have multiple columns, you're going to actually order by them one after another. And in MySQL workbench, you do not need to have the semicolon at the end, but in some other database softwares, you may need to have the semicolon at the end, and especially when you write multiple statements within a particular query, and it is always a good idea to use a semicolon to end your statement. And also later on, we're going to cover the group by and hiding, etc. Those two specific clauses are used for aggregation functions. We're going to cover that later. But so far, the select, from, where, and order by, we're going to cover for today. And to be kind of better illustrating how those keywords and clauses are used together, now let's go to MySQL Workbench to start working on how we're going to do that. And after we have the MySQL Workbench demo, we're going to actually learn a little bit how to translating request into SQL. Translating request into SQL is something like what the textbook describing in a very well. I'll kind of like teach you how to convert a request into SQL. And please read through the example in chapter 4 to learn how to write the SQL based on specific request. So after that piece, we're going to have the homework number 3. Homework number 3 is basically follow the PowerPoint video to create the sales order example database and run all the queries in the week3.sql file that I'm going to demo you in a minute. And also read through chapter 4 of the textbook, and then write your own query for the following request using sales order example database you just created. Please only submit the final successful queries that you can run in your MySQL Workbench. So those are the two requests. The first one is which state are the employees comes from. The second one is find all the employee with zip code equal to 98105 and order their last name and then their first name, all in descending orders. So this is the third homework. Okay, now I'm going to end this PowerPoint deck description. Then we're going to start a new video for how to use the MySQL Workbench to run all the queries in a week3.sql file. Thank you.